Commission to order.
Thanks, sir.
Please your name.
Okay, that's
Oh, sorry to get in the way.
thanks, sir.
That's the newest, right?
So Ryan, you volunteered or been volunteered to do the roll call for us tonight, so if you'll start that.
Chairperson Fuller.
Here.
Vice Chair Bowers here. Peck. Absent. Slaw.
Here.
Walsh. Absent. Dean.
Here.
Very good. The agenda is before us. There are essentially two major items. And I would like to have approval of that agenda and start with the Meadows Part 4 preliminary
So moved.
plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, let's continue. Chris, you just passed out to us a new plat map,
Yep.
and we have before us also information that came from the city engineer with a request for a variety of different things. And then we have Brian's response to that. And so, how shall we most expeditiously begin?
Do a little introduction.
Well, either that, or you can tell us
Sure.
how this new plat
Yeah, you bet.
map changes anything.
You bet. Brian Belk, Axiom Consultants, and I have some bigger ones too if you guys need to share or lay any of those out. But yeah, so certainly appreciate Dave's comments right away, and I know several of those were discussion point items, essentially from past history of when this originally was looked at several years ago. In regards to changes that you're seeing versus before, several things have been added and or revised, so I'll point out a few of those. One of them is some regrading was done, in particular on Dawson Drive, and just looking at the intersections there of Orange and Gilbert Drive. So as you'll see on the preliminary plat, there was a request for variance in terms of slopes, steep slopes of over 5%. We've actually eliminated that from Dawson Drive. So now everything is under 5% on Dawson Drive. Gilbert Drive still does have a 6% slope, and then Orange Street, of course, connecting into the steeper slope that was previously approved and built with Part 1, is over 5% as well. But we were able to at least reduce that quite a bit, in particular on Dawson Drive. In conjunction with that, we have set up a couple low points on Dawson Drive between Gilbert Drive and Orange Street. And as a result, you'll see a couple of proposed drainage easements that have been added on there between lots 45 and 46 and 51 and 52. That would serve just for the overland flow purpose if for some reason the intakes were plugged and or whatnot, the typical process and standard for that overland flow. So that's what those are denoting. We added street light locations, which is denoted with that A symbol throughout the plans there, and those at intersections, end of streets, mid-block crossing, and we staggered them essentially to get the coverage for pedestrian walkways through there. We also added mailbox cluster locations, as Dave had requested, and we knew it would be coming, and we discussed that with the owner and developer in terms of location and placement of those. And then we also...
Were those indicated? I haven't followed it yet.
Yep, no, hold on, John, I'm finding myself here, hold on a second. Oh, where are they? Brad, Chris, help me out, where we put the mailbox clusters?
So 39 and 28 and 11.
Why am I not seeing them on here?
You might not have got them in there, but
I thought we did, but I'm not seeing them on there now.
so it'd be the southeast corner of 39,
Yep, I thought we added those on, but I don't see it.
and then like on 28 it would be the southwest.
Southwest, yeah.
Somewhere, and 11 probably the southeast corner, because there is one.
There's already one by...
on Orange Street.
Yep, on that west end
Just
of
up
Part
the-
1.
Yeah, so right on lot 18, there's, on the edge of that, there's already one on the southeast corner of 18.
So I think those were on there, but they did not get printed. So we do have those noted though, and we'll make sure those are shown.
And vetted with the post office, I assume.
Yes. Mid-block crossings, due to the fact that Dawson Drive, both between Orange and Gilbert, as well as between Main Street and Orange, are longer than 700 feet. We did add mid-block crossings. The mid-block crossing on the north half, you will see between around lots 22 and 23, crossing over then to that 52, 53. On the south side between Orange and Main, we currently have it shown between lots 2 and 3 in 15, 16, though we were just discussing that we may move that down by lot 1 rather instead, a little further south, in order to line that up better with that outlot and get people who might be crossing to go over for some reason for that outlot and that open park space. So we'd shift that mid-block crossing down 2 lots.
Brian, are those
Yep.
drawn on there?
They are. They're hard to see on the 11 by 17. Like, so I can get that big one out if you want. Yep, they're just a little.
Connections to the road.
Yeah, just a little sidewalk connections. Oh, right here.
Oh,
It
It's
says,
hard, like I said. If you want the big one, I can get that out of here. I mean, I can certainly
that's fine.
unroll them. But yeah, so the mid-block crossings have been added as well. In terms of drainage, we have the proposed drainage and storm sewer easement up on the northwest corner there between lots 38 and 39. We actually widened that to a 30-foot easement, which is a little bigger than what was before. That's to take in the stormwater that's coming out of that culvert just directly to the northwest. So there's a culvert that goes under Johnson Cedar, angles from northwest to southeast, just north of lot 39, about mid-block to the northeast corner of lot 39. So we'll be picking up that stormwater there via pipe and then have overland drainage flow above that as well to account for any extenuous situations there. So that's what that storm easement and drainage easements representing between lots 38 and 39. Between lots 35 and 36 is the easement for the sanitary sewer easement. So as you know, that sanitary sewer runs through, it's hard to see, but it is in there, the existing 25-foot easement on the dash line, and then the sanitary sewer runs through there. As you know, the intent is to remove that existing sanitary sewer. So then between lots 35 and 36, we would essentially set a manhole on that existing sewer, what would be that endpoint of the old sewer. And then, so running north of there, north of lot 36 would be the existing sanitary sewer. South of there would be the new. So we'll pick it up between lots 35, 36, run that down into the new sanitary, and remove, abandon all the rest. So that's what that easement's in there for.
Topic of sanitary, where's that connect back in? It looks like it's just shown down to the end of the part 3B. Does that actually connect? Oh, is it connected
keeps-
over on the Orange Street
Yeah.
extension? Okay.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, it's not really, it's hard to see on there. Yeah.
So is the,
That ends up going all the way down to Maine, Ryan.
okay.
Yeah, and it's not, it's cut off there but it's in part 3B.
Okay.
It's shown it continues to go down south and connect to Maine.
Yeah, I see the sanitary there. That's all intended to be replaced with this?
That is correct. Yep. Yeah, so, yeah, and to go back a second on that, correct. So as you know, the part 3B was previously approved, and that, in terms of construction and improvements,
I feel like I'm going to the bathroom. This is easier to see.
Sorry.
in terms of construction of the actual public improvements, parts 3B would coincide with this part 4. So yes, so that sanitary sewer extends then down to Main Street and connects in there, as was shown in part 3B. Likewise, and I know Dave discusses it, brings it up in his comments and review is we're aware that the stormwater management also, the basins that are shown as part of Outlot A and 3B would need to be constructed concurrently or prior to the improvements going on with 4, knowing that that stormwater is heading to that detention area. So that would be covering the portion of 4, in particular 4A. I should go back on that too. As you see right now, we're showing a 4A and a 4B that is divided between lots 21, 22, 53, and 54. The main purpose of that is just not knowing where things will be in terms of interest of lots and financially and cost, whether or not they'd want to proceed with all of Part 4 at one time. So we broke that into a 4A, 4B, so that they do have the ability just to do a portion of it if so desired. Let's see what else. We changed the right-of-way on Dawson Drive from it was previously shown 60 foot. That should have reflected 66. So that is shown as a 66-foot right-of-way now on the typical cross-section there for Dawson Drive. So that's a 31-foot paved back-to-back with a 66-foot right-of-way. Gilbert Drive on the north end there is a 29-foot with a 60-foot right-of-way. I think that's most of the items in terms of anything that had changed or added. I'd be happy to answer.
Well, Brian, what I'd like to do, I think, and this is going to be duplicating matters, but I copied what the city sent out to you.
Yeah.
And your reply. And so I'm going to share that with everybody around.
Sure.
And I think it'd be useful to just go through one by one. Thank you. You're most welcome. I guess, as I say, I think you've answered, I believe, most of the questions. But let me just start with the number one that Dave had was stormwater management and erosion control being outlined. And as I understand it, you've agreed to that with no...
Yeah, and we added, just to add to that too, we broke this into 2 sheets now on that preliminary plat. So to clean it up a little, it's just getting so cluttered. So we do have one sheet that's grading and erosion control, whereas the other is utilities and everything else there. Yep.
And I liked your ABCs and so forth. The lots in the floodplain, you're going to
yes.
provide fill and raise those.
Yep, thank you. We added a note number 6 on the preliminary plat that specifies that too. So note 6, grade of lots 16 and 17 to be filled and raised to place outside of existing floodplain, minimum low opening to be defined. You can read that, but yeah, note 6 has been added to make sure that's taken care of.
I would add one matter to that, and this is something that is of interest to me because the area to the east of those lots is somewhat higher than the lots. I would hope that height differential could be maintained. It's not very much, but there certainly is some. So to the extent that there is fill placed on 16 and 17, I'd like to see the height differential remain.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Otherwise, there's going to be seepage over from there to the adjacent property. As I say, I'm interested in that because it's mine.
Right.
The next paragraph, you say you've evaluated the culvert. And,
yes.
And further evaluation will take place in the construction process.
Yep, and again, and that's one where we did change that. We widened that easement a little bit after looking at it further and also made that both a storm sewer and drainage easement, so we're taking care of both the pipe and the overland flow.
And then in terms of the drainage swale, you say that you're going to put in place best management practices.
Yes, and I know some of that I think was previously discussed back a while ago. So essentially looking at that drainage way, waterway that's already existing and what is defined as Outlot B, and yeah, just making sure that erosion issues are taken care of, scouring some of those areas where we might see some cut on those banks. We'll get some protection in there. And
okay. And Then in terms of Dawson Drive, you pointed out how you've been able to reduce the slope and, let's see. And you pointed out the drainage easement between lots 50 and 51.
Yep.
Okay. You made, Dave mentions possibility of tile lines and recommending those.
Yeah, certainly we'll make note of that during
Okay.
the construction period.
And then point number 2, you say that you will make that kind of confirmation. That's the next item to tile, or confirm the proposed grades will allow for an extension of orange.
Yes.
And then 3, you've indicated the street lighting, right?
Correct. Streetlights are shown.
And we've taken care of the mid-block crossings as well.
Correct.
Do you think we should add the one on the south side of Dawson?
By the
Add
one
or
you
remove
mean,
it.
Leave it as is.
I think it makes sense to have the street light by the mid-block crossing, wherever that's gonna be. If you're moving the mid-block down near the street light, that makes sense.
I guess my question is, I know it's a little more than 700 feet that you want a crosswalk crossing.
Oh, at the,
Period.
Period.
Between Orange and Main.
Correct.
Yeah, I can't remember our total length there. It's
750 is where you'd have it, or you're going to move that a bit to the south, right?
we're at 8.
As to the
It is. It's yeah.
as to the street lighting, how does that fit with the post office boxes? Are they going to have lighting, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't look at that. I did talk to Dave about the street lighting in general, and we spaced it out accordingly based on the typical parameters and standards here for pedestrian coverage and intersections and mid-block crossing. He didn't specify anything in terms of nearby mailbox cluster, though in most cases we're going to be actually okay. We'll have that light at the Orange Street intersection, which should give us enough there, and then at the Gilbert Drive intersection it'll kind of be midway between, and we'll have one at Johnson Cedar too, so they should be covered enough there.
Plan for a mailbox cluster?
Yes.
Yeah.
it's on the erosion plan.
Good job, okay.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, I found it.
Thank you.
That sheet.
I knew we put it in somewhere.
Good for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw it on there maybe.
I saw it too. But I know we have them, yes, and we have them on the there's 3.
That'd be something new for us.
Well, I was thinking of people going to their mailboxes late afternoon, winter, and
Right,
really
with it being completely dark out,
yeah.
yeah. Make sure that coverage gets taken care of, though. I'll look at that.
that takes us to number 4, and as you say, that's going to be 66 now, and
Oh, yeah, thanks.
instead of 60, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. That takes us to number 5, and the trail. And this is maybe worth some degree of discussion.
Yep. Yeah, that's one item that, I guess we're looking for the commission here to get their take on. At one point, there was a request, my understanding is to have trail running up through Outlot B. I guess we question the not feasibility really, the need for that if you're running sidewalks 150 feet to the east, parallel on Dawson Drive. Does that trail really necessary? And, do you want that in the rear yards of people? Sometimes that's not
Well, I'd
looked upon
like
favorably.
to get a comment from our major trails person in the city, our mayor, and see if he has any thoughts on
I'd like
that.
to see a trail. But what's the outlot for?
Drainage, stormwater.
People like to ride a trail that's not a sidewalk. North City, Coralville, North Liberty. It's not the sidewalk.
What's it gonna connect to, though?
Right, so that was,
Well, that's one of my other
To a
comments.
sidewalk.
I think it should connect up to Greenview through lot 38 and 36. Yeah.
and we
37
did,
maybe?
yeah, we talked about a
One of my
public,
comments would be to try to get a trail easement through there. Maybe it could be on top of the drainage easement.
Right.
yeah, we put on top of that, or the sanitary
That goes
sewer
into someone's
easement,
backyard. Well, the sanitary.
between 35 and 36. We talked about that too, that you could put a public access
Yeah,
easement through there,
yeah.
because there's an easement
That's
there
what
now.
I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe you could catch two things at once. If your trail was made of permeable material, you could solve some drainage issues while you have your trail access.
Now, we would ask of you is to grade for a trail, rough grade, and the city would then.
To the surface?
Similar to what we had in 3B,
Right.
Oh, that,
on that way, I'm sorry, outline it, yep.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and we certainly talked about that, whether it's, graded trail and outlot B, is it an overwidth sidewalk on Dawson Drive? But yeah,
Otherwise, doesn't one of the sidewalks need to be
8 foot.
8 foot.
Yeah.
8
wide.
foot?
Right, that's what we had
Which
talked
is,
about.
the homeowner puts that in, unless you're giving them something to.
Well, the homeowner.
Typically, the
that
city
wide
pays for anything
sidewalk.
over the 5 feet, though.
Yeah. That's what the agreement was before, yeah.
And the city cleans it.
Yes.
Or not, you don't have
The
to.
city cleans it.
Yeah,
If it's if it's a sidewalk.
generally, because your 8 foot is long is considered a trail.
They
then at
clean
that
it in
point.
Iowa City.
Yeah, yep. They do.
You don't have to clean it.
Well, okay, then the homeowner, then I don't have to clean my sidewalk.
But that's the good reason to put a trail behind.
Right, right, but I'm saying, if you go to an 8-foot sidewalk, the city will have to take care of it.
We don't wanna do that. Our guys don't want to.
Well, you'll be taking care of the trail if it's an outlot B.
Wouldn't have
Either
to,
way.
no, we wouldn't have to.
It'd be dedicated to the city. That's how
No.
outlot A is set up.
I'm not trying to get out of it, but
But that's how outlet A was set up in Part 3.
that we would.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't even got a trail, so what's the point of talking about it? We don't have a trail in
If it's
town.
graded for it. If it's graded for it, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean you have to do
Right,
it.
I know.
Right.
It just has to be 10 feet.
I'm gonna push for a trail going up Lot B, so I'm advocating for it.
Any comments from the members of the commission on that issue?
So the trail's gonna connect to Greenview, which has no sidewalks.
It will someday.
Correct.
Yeah, just like Greenview's gonna be connected to town someday. It's been 20 years.
We're getting into another part of the agenda, I think.
Well,
Oh, my.
I don't, so,
We don't have any problem with that.
I thought this road might wanna go through the Greenview Road, through Lot 36. I don't know if they line up anymore.
Yeah.
Perfect space there between, and maybe the engineers disagree with that.
Well, the only issue we
Who's
saw
the-
there.
Hey, Roger, who's adjacent to 35 and 36? Is there a homeowner, or is that where it comes out by your house?
You'll have to,
What do you get at?
you'd have to look at.
No, I didn't know where the whole, is there a
I don't
house?
know if there's a city property between Chacone's and Bridges, or if it's Chacone's property and then Bridges.
Is this where it comes out, Chacone's?
Yeah,
I think there used to be an easement.
there's a sewer line, there's a septic line
And
there,
maybe that's all it was.
so,
You got easement for this.
There used to be a siren there too, is that still there?
That's on the end of, by Rogers. There's a siren.
So since the door is open, I don't think, I like this the way it's drawn and no street.
Yeah, the one concern we had was that you're putting that street connection literally only, 3 lots from Johnson Cedar. So that proximity didn't make a whole lot of sense in terms of having another street right there.
And.
But a public access
And right on
I can
that,
agree with that.
and
having a sidewalk
right
or
on
something.
that curve.
I guess
Also true.
the other thing is if you did have a problem and had to have access from Greenview, if that road was somehow blocked,
Mhm.
couldn't you go, if that was a easement and trail, couldn't you have, if you
Like a
had to
temporary
go-
thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'd have to.
just first,
At minimum, I'd like to
Safety.
see a trail connection.
Yeah, I don't think.
We're gonna have-
We're not,
we'd already.
Like 40 homes
We agree
agree
with
with
that.
golf carts that wanna
Yeah.
go golfing.
totally,
And
I agree.
get some off of Hoover Highway.
Mhm.
No, we had already.
Okay. Yeah.
Could you get a fire truck on that?
Yeah, on 20 feet, probably,
Yeah,
So this drainage.
I mean, the easement's 20 feet, so
Yeah.
just.
The trail
safety,
wouldn't be, but,
right.
yeah.
Mhm.
I guess.
Is it possible, if you're talking a trail on outlot B, to move the 30-foot easement east and put it between 37 and 8? I'm not sure I'm looking at the elevations right now.
Sure. Yeah, in terms of that drainage easement there.
If that worked, then it would be a straighter shot
Right.
across the
Right.
street.
Yeah, and we looked at that a little bit
I
too.
don't think that would work.
That's probably where Chicone's house is.
Yeah, I think that drainage culvert is
Yeah,
the
so
low
you-
point of the,
So they'll have to get out on the street and then cross up here
That's right.
between 35
Right.
and 6.
Mhm.
At the intersection.
Yep.
Which certainly suggests to the city that you're gonna have to have some good trail signage, if it ever gets to that.
signage is easy.
Oh, yeah, but don't forget it. Okay, well, Brian, did you have a comment? I thought I saw your hand up a little while
Yeah,
ago.
maybe it's not an issue anymore. I guess one of the questions I heard when the discussion of this was about having a trail behind the houses. And
Mhm.
I just thought of another instance in town that I use a lot, which is the trail that runs behind the daycare in Peterson Valley. It goes up by the middle school. I think that's a really
Oh, yeah.
effective, it's a smoother path. It's not as steep as the road.
Yeah.
When we walk on that side of town, we use it all the time. So I don't think having a trail that close to a sidewalk is going to be a deterrent from using it. I'd prefer walking on the trail because you're not walking in front of people's houses, and it's more of a recreational
more,
use
yeah.
instead of a,
Sure.
so.
Just to add, we had a student group some years back looking at trails in Decorah. And one of the questions was this one you raised. Do people not want trails behind their houses, and does that detract from the value of the houses and so forth? And the answer was, from this research they did, that no, it probably adds to the value of the houses, if anything. And it was not really a difficult problem for anybody having the occasional bike ride or walker, whatever it may be, behind the houses. So I don't know if you can apply that here, but certainly there has been some research on this, and doesn't seem to be an issue.
And there's always an option for a fence.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, if you want privacy or what have you.
My guess is it's 50/50.
Pardon me?
50% of the
Yeah.
people like it, 50% wouldn't.
I know there was an issue in Iowa City at Scott Park where they ended up putting them behind in the rear yards. It was a huge ordeal that residents got very upset that there was a trail behind their
The
house.
trail going in after their backyard.
Yep.
Yeah, if the trail's in first, before the house,
Yeah.
then that makes a difference. And it might even be seen as an amenity. Okay, crosswalk in school district, that's, I don't know whether that.
Yeah, so in part 3B, we addressed that and we actually duplicated the note from part 3B that was approved, and we've now added that to this part 4, which is note number 5 on your preliminary plat. Exact language was future crosswalk of Main Street with Main Street and Dawson Drive to be determined and approved at time of sidewalk installation within West Branch High School property. Main thing there was, at the time it was looked at that would be an intersection with the new access going up to the school, the high school, with that bond vote. Obviously, that not at that place at this point, and who knows in the future where that's going to lead. So not knowing where that sidewalk connection would be from the school's point of view on the south side of Main Street, and that trail is set off quite a bit there. There's some extensive work, so, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, I mean, you agreed that you get a crossing to Main Street, but wherever they end up wanting their intersection to be in the future. And so that's how we left it with 3B, and we duplicated that note here as well.
Cost sharing is that, where are we on that?
The original was thirds.
Thirds, right?
For the
Right.
crosswalk and lighting and
Just, you know,
flashing.
The other third's got no plan right
Right. But we would grade it and put sidewalk to the street
To it.
and
now. To your
whatever.
part, yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Given the timing, that probably is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
what we
doesn't
thought,
make
too.
any sense to spend any extra money when we can apply it when it's needed.
Dave's number 6 has been taken care of as far as mailboxes, and that's number 6 here. And then 7, on sewers.
Yeah, so we'll, as mentioned before, when we abandon, remove that sanitary sewer that's existing, in doing so, we'll legally get rid of that easement as well that
Okay.
currently exists there.
And his point number 8 on Gilbert Street, to coordinate
Oh,
the
yep.
future layout of whatever happens to Cedar Johnson Road.
Correct, yep. And he has.
Whatever and whenever.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've seen some preliminary, I mean, very rough stuff that V&K had put together on that, but we'll continue to coordinate with him.
And then number 9, in terms of park space.
I guess if there's a usable trail, then I'd see it as usable park space. Or, I mean,
Well, it certainly connects to what could be usable park
Yeah.
space.
I don't see any, if it's, you're putting in the graded trail and then the city would provide the trail, that would be the park space used.
Mhm.
And this is probably more than the minimum requirement.
Yeah,
Like-
so
Yeah,
in,
in terms of
so
square
in
footage.
part, when we were doing part 3, we have a developer's agreement on that, we would dedicate Outlot A to the city, and the city would take over that and agree to take it, and it's 5-point-something acres. And if that happens to be, then there's another 2.5 there, so it's like 8 acres total if that all comes about, and our 5% would be 4 acres, so we've got that
So it's
part
more,
covered that's
yeah.
in
We're
the
giving
cover.
them twice as much.
Roger, just as a coordination matter, has the Park Commission, the Park and Recreation, any knowledge of this? And how does that fit their plans?
Melissa had been involved all throughout on the part 3.
Okay.
Because there was discussion on exactly what use that would be. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna need the budget money to take care of it.
Need money, but also this is getting further along, so I would hope that they'd be plugged in and have ideas.
I haven't got that far yet.
Okay. Number 10, R2.
Yeah, and we've come to you previously in the last P&Z meeting about that, so we're still showing that same, if you remember the colored diagram from last time, R2 lots being 22 through 39. So essentially that part, what we show part 4B, east of Dawson Drive, and that's then connecting to what has already been 0 lots on part 2. So, yeah, just kind of wrapping in a little encompassing R2 zone there. And we've initiated that rezoning with Leslie, and with follow-up with, obviously, with a rezoning exhibit and through the full process. But yes, that one right there,
Yeah,
Ryan.
so
Yeah, this is from the last meeting. That was when we talked.
And Dave was not at that meeting, so he wasn't aware that we had already
Gotcha.
discussed that.
Number 11 of Dave's, the extension, we've talked about that could be done through a trail.
Mm-hmm.
Number 12, street grades, I think you've handled that, have you not?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Number 13 likewise.
Yep.
And that takes us to number 14. And
Yes, we had, the setback lines are shown back in there now.
Okay.
Before we had removed those, we have the plat prepared by added as well there. The only thing we'll add to that is there might be a couple locations where we'll need a fairly small sanitary sewer easement in some front yards just because of the curve and the bends of where that sanitary lines up. And those will be in there in terms of the final plat.
So to summarize our discussion and your presentation, it sounds to me as if the engineer's questions have been answered with one exception, and that is where the trail goes. And it sounds to me like the general feeling of the commission is that the trail might best go behind the new houses rather than on the sidewalk.
Yep.
Consensus?
So show.
It wasn't our first choice, but if that's what you want. That's what we'll do.
And so that would be handled similar to Outlot A where it's shown as a graded trail.
And we'd have to decide which side.
Right.
The leg's easiest, and
Mine would say on the left side, probably be
Minimize your street.
I was just gonna say,
Crossings.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The biggest thing that'll dictate that will be evaluating your, exactly right, that drainage way and making sure that.
where it goes
Could be
underneath.
floodable, but it's not a
Mm-hmm.
maintenance issue for the city then if it's flooded.
Yeah. Yeah. We can certainly, we'll evaluate that before.
we'll put it right down the middle, that would be a bad
Unless
Be a kayak trail.
Unless it's a low point.
Yeah. But we can, we'll look at that, get that.
How wide is it? 30?
Through there, yeah. No, it's
50?
it's more than that, yeah.
Okay, so there's room to put.
Yeah.
It's 40 at.
It's 40 at the
It's
north
40
end,
at
so it's about
Dover,
50 or
so that's
60.
60-ish.
That's pretty good.
So we'll show graded trail and Outlot B and then get a shared easement with the sanitary or the storm there, make that a public access
You
easement
get
as well.
Right.
the same thing like you did on here on Scott Drive, those people behind that they can't fence and don't mow.
I think the city should know that. Should be well defined.
Well, the trail would define, obviously, some of that on one
We could
side.
get away without mowing, let the homeowners mow it, that'd be great.
Put in native planting
But
so
then
you
you
don't mow
lose,
'em.
yeah, pardon?
Put in native planting so you don't mow 'em. That's a
That's a
BMP.
great
Well,
idea.
we have to put
With the trail,
some in.
What's that?
with the trail.
Yeah, alongside.
Along the trail, the city would do that.
Can you make your trail out of permeable materials as I suggested earlier? That's probably something the city would have.
That's down the line though.
Yeah.
But I like that, the native, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially on the creek side of the trail.
Mhm.
It'll be permeable because it'll have grass on it for 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
That's as green as it gets right there.
Yes. Okay. Well then, I think we're ready to move to action on 4A, excuse me. The approval of the preliminary plat. Before I do so, are there any further comments, questions from either the commission or the audience? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, Brett, Tom.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Meadows Part 4 preliminary plat.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Brian seconds. All those in favor, we'll do this by voice vote. We'll do this by calling roll. And Brian?
Commission Member Dean.
Yes.
Commission Member Bowers, yes. Commission Member Slaw.
Yes.
Commission Member Fuller.
Yes. Okay. We look forward to finding out what comes next and what your timing's going to be.
We're going to the council, let me
Good, okay. Do
And then
you,
we'll follow up next month with, most likely, the rezoning.
okay,
Require
good.
public hearing. Yes. Public hearing by you folks
For the rezoning.
for rezoning.
Yes, right. That will be our next meeting,
When is your next meeting?
25th of September.
September 26th.
Plan on,
Okay.
So that's just notification. But the only people notified is Greenview, and yourselves.
So do you think that you'd like to have anybody from the commission at the next council meeting, or can Roger do that for us?
You better come. Show up.
If you have one, that would be great.
Oh,
Just to say that.
from the
Well, that's what I'm
commission.
asking, to show our agreement and support.
No, I think it's best when you guys show up.
Okay. Do I have a volunteer?
Monday night.
Is it
Oh,
Monday?
we'll have to do 3 readings, so
No.
okay.
Maybe,
I'll give you a maybe.
right, right. You and I
That's
can-
fine. Maybe's good enough.
You and I
I can,
can arm wrestle for it.
If you don't make it, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good.
You can send an email if you need to.
Mhm.
Say that you can do that anytime. An agreement.
Well, that takes us to the next item on the agenda, and that is the environmental stewardship chapter. I know we have that in PDF form, and I actually even made a few more copies that I think all the commission members have, the earlier one. But what I wanted to do was to, now that you've had a chance to take a little more of a look at it, see if there were any comments, anything that you think ought to be further explained, or anything that ought to be revised in any respect. So, what do you have to say?
I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, if not, then what I want to do is accept it on part of the commission and send it on to the city council. And perhaps you can have, I don't know if you can have that on Monday's agenda.
Which sections is it?
That's chapter 10, the environmental stewardship one.
It's on the preliminary agenda, I believe.
Okay, good, good. Well, then that might be a reason also for one of us to show up on Monday.
Yeah, it's on the preliminary agenda, that's all I know.
Okay. Well, I think we can do a voice vote on this one and then move to accept. Brian does?
Second?
Second? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, on to the council. And city staff reports. Terry, do you have anything to report? You were
Busy.
saying there's lots of action
A
going on.
lot of action going on.
That's
yeah,
good to hear.
A lot of building permits, so, but that's about it.
Mr. Mayor, anything to report?
IWS Properties built the duplexes. I don't know what any current movement on, they had to have a drainage easement before they went any farther with their private road. The drainage easement across,
I heard-
Peterson.
across
Or, but
Peterson,
Yeah.
adjacent to Peterson.
I heard from someone who built with them that they might have got that done recently.
I've heard that before too, and they never did it.
Okay.
Anyway, it's kind of a critical issue. A 15-inch line is going to be put underground across somebody's property, and hopefully they can get it done. But there's been an issue with getting the construction easement. So I don't know, you're not involved with that at all, probably.
No, but we can definitely
That's
go
the
for
next
building
step.
permits for that.
We weren't going to let any
No more
building
building
permits be
permits.
issued until that easement got done, that work got done.
Until it was installed.
Yeah. So I don't know where they're at. Hopefully they'll get it done and make it happen.
Yeah, 'cause I think, yeah, they're completed all their duplexes up there now, so.
Yeah. But we told them they couldn't do any more until they got that issue done, issue resolved. So,
Commission comment, scary.
Now I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, I think you were going to say that,
I already said it,
okay.
that the connection to Greenview from
Yeah.
Gilbert Drive, I don't like that section. I think you still need to continue to look down at the other end. So that's why I like your drawings.
So, do you wanna bring that up, have that brought up Monday night, or was that, what your consensus, recommendation?
I don't know.
What connection are you looking for? My house or?
Yeah, you'd rather see the street end.
Yeah, that's all I was just gonna mention, that I like that. I do have a couple other items now that you mention it.
I knew you did.
No parking signs on the south side of Orange Street. We talked about it in January and they aren't up yet.
Good.
Going up the hill from Hilltop.
To Ridgeway.
Yeah.
Is Matt gonna, that's already designated no parking, he just needed to sign it, right?
Yeah.
Thought when he was in, he said he was gonna just do it. Probably just. gonna
Weather
do it.
permitting, he said in January.
Yeah,
I know January is not a good time.
probably
to
just
do it.
needs a reminder because he was plowing
Yeah.
snow too late and forgot about it.
Right.
Is that the public works director?
Yeah.
He knows about it?
Well, he did. He
did
come,
in
in
January.
that meeting, I know he talked about it, yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 7 months.
So maybe just a reminder.
Anything else? I have a feeling that the property between my house down the hill maybe
Yeah.
have a new buyer, maybe.
They do.
There may be-
Buyer or new
I
owner?
heard that.
New owner,
Yeah,
do.
okay.
yeah. I heard it might happen
So
last
that may be
month.
coming to you someday.
Yeah, there's a request, I think, to meet with Redmond and Dave on that, but you're correct, since they're going to convene on the day of that.
Okay, well, does that do it?
I do have one question,
Yes, yes.
and this isn't on the agenda. Chris and Brad, could you give a briefing on what the interest is for selling the lots?
Yeah. I think I talked about it one time, but on part 2, there's 21 lots, and so we started last November, so we currently have closed or offers on 15 out of that 21 lots in less than a year. And part 1 took us 5 years to do that.
No, it's 19 months.
Yeah, about the same size. So it's quite a bit of interest, and some of it is builders coming from out of town too, as well as just regular individual buyers buying lots. So it's interest from both parties.
Good.
So it's a change from the past, it seems like.
And your plan was to do all the grading and stuff as
Yeah.
soon as you can?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So if we can do that this fall, we'll do as
Yep.
much grading as we can.
That'd be good.
If you have more.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, I think that takes care of our activities. We have our next meeting on September 25th. I'll entertain motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
All right.
There we go.